lesson, we'll be factoring trinomials when the coefficient of a is greater than 1. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to factor trinomials in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. A, b, and c are all numbers. So if it's prime, it means the trinomial cannot be written as a product of two polynomials. So you've got to make sure that it can't be factored and that the greatest common factor is 1. If it's anything but 1, you need to factor out that GCF. So the coefficient of x squared is greater than 1. So we'll have something like 2x squared plus 5x minus 2. First thing you do is factor the first term. So 2 can only have two factors, 1 and 2. So you know that it's going to have to be something 2x and x. Then factor the last term. Again, it's negative 2, so it can only be negative 1 and 2, or negative 2 and 1. And then we're going to distribute to check and make sure our answer's right. If it's not, we're going to try it again. So always look for a GCF. So if A, B, and C have a GCF greater than 1, make sure to factor that out first. It's a lot easier. So here we have 2x squared, 14x, and 24. Those are all divisible by 2, so I'm going to factor out the 2 first. So divide that by 2, that by 2, and that by 2. Then I'm going to factor these. What two numbers multiplied together equal 12 and add together to equal 7 would be plus 3 and plus 4. Okay, so for example, 3y squared plus 10y plus 8. So the first one can only be 3y and y, because that's the only way I could get 3y squared. 8, I could do 8 and 1 or 2 and 4. So let's try 8 and 1. So 8 and 1. So that, when I multiply, that would be 8y, and this would be 3y, and so together that would be 11y. So that's not going to work. Let's try another one. So I know, again, it's 3y and y. Let's try 2 and 4. Let's do 2 here and 4 here. So this is 2y, and that's 12y. Now, if I subtract those, I will get the 10y, but since my c, way back here, is positive, neither of my factors can be negative. So this could not be negative, because then when I multiply this, I'd get negative 8. So let's try it again. 3y and y. Let's switch them. Let's put 4 here and 2 here. So this together is 4y when I multiply it, and this is 6y, so yes, that equals 10y. So I have to have 3y plus 4 times y plus 2, and now I'll distribute to check it. 3y times y is 3y squared. 3y times 2 is 6y. Y times 4 is 4y. And 2 times 4 is 8. Combine like terms, 3y squared plus 10y plus 8. So yes, this is my answer. All right, let's try another one. So I have 3c squared minus 2c minus 5. So I know the only factors of 3 are 3 and 1. So it has to be 3c and 1c. The only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. So, and remember, this is a subtraction. So if I try that, this would be 1c, and this would be 15c. So I know it's a subtraction, but there's no way I could subtract those and get to negative 2. So let's try to switch it. 3c and c. And then this time, let's put 5 here and 1 here. This is 5c, and this is 6c. Oops. And I could subtract those. This is not 6c, I'm sorry. This is 3c. So if I subtract those, I could get 2. And my middle term is negative, so that has to be negative, and this has to be positive. So if I have 3c minus 5 times c plus 1, 3c times 3 times c is 3c squared. 3c times 1 is 3c. Negative 5 times c is negative 5c, and negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. So that's 3c squared minus 2c minus 5. So yes, this is my answer. All right, let's try another one. Again, 2c squared, the only factors, they're 2x squared. The only way I could get to 2x is by x and x. And my only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. But remember, one of them has to be a negative. So let's try 1 here and 2 here. If I multiply these, this would be 1x, and these would be 4x. That would be great if I could add them together, but I can't because one of these has to be negative. Okay, let's try again. Let's try the other way. So this time I know it can only be 2x and x. So let's try 2 here and 1 here. This gets me 2x, and this gets me 2x. And I cannot subtract those in order to get my 5x from the beginning. So those are my only options. This trinomial is prime. The volume of a juice box is 3x squared plus 3x cubed plus 24x squared plus 45x. If you see an x cubed, you've got to be thinking GCF. So if I take 3x cubed plus 24x squared plus 45x, I see that my GCF is 3x. So I'm going to divide all of these by 3x, and that would get me x squared plus 8x plus 15. And now I need to factor that. So 3x, what two numbers multiplied together equal 15 and add together equal 5 would be x plus 3 and x plus 5. This is my answer. Don't lose that 3, otherwise it will be wrong. All right, Cassie's going to build a patio in her backyard, but she needs to know the perimeter to have enough bricks. Factor the perimeter, factor to find the perimeter. All right, so if I look at 4, I know I can do 4 and 1 and 2 and 2. I also need to look at my factors of 63 and notice that it's negative, so one of my factors has to be negative. And this number is fairly small, so that's going to tell me that I need factors that are pretty close together. So I'm leaning towards that 7 and 9. So if I start with 4x and x, and I'll try 7 and 9 in there. Remember, one of them has to be subtraction. This would be 7x, and this would be 36x. And no subtracting there will get me to 4. Let's try it again. Let's try switching it. 4x and 9 and x and 7. So again, this gets me 9x, and this gets me 28x. So nothing in there is going to get me to 4. So let's try 2 and 2. 2x and 2x, and 7 and 9. So this is 14x, and this is 18x, and it has to be a subtraction, because remember our original question was negative 63, but a positive 4 in the middle, which means this has to be plus, and this has to be minus. So let's FOIL the check. 2x minus 7 times 2x plus 9. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 9 is plus 18x. Negative 7 times 2x is minus 14x. And negative 7 times 9 is negative 63. So yes, 4x squared plus 4x minus 63. Okay, so now we have our two factors. It wants to know the perimeter. So 2x plus 9 plus 2x plus 9 plus 2x minus 7 plus 2x minus 7. And that gets me 8x plus 4. And that's the answer. All right, so what does FOIL stand for? First, outside, inside, last. And what do you look for first thing when factoring a trinomial? Look for that GCF.